So now, as we continue to progress through these HVAC training videos, if you have seen the previous videos that I have uploaded, you have known how we went over the basic cycle of refrigeration. When talking about the basic cycle of refrigeration, we went over the four major components. The four major components that make up your air conditioning system, once again, are your compressor, your condenser, your metering device, and your evaporator. And then if you've seen the other videos as well, we went over, the change of state, how your refrigerant goes from a liquid to a vapor and from a vapor to a liquid. We also talked about the high pressure and the low pressure, the high side and the low side of the air conditioning system. What connects your high side system and your low side system? Well, you have your refrigerant lines. What are the lines made of? They're made of copper. Which brings me to this video. Now we're going to go ahead and move to the copper lines, and we're going to go ahead and study, and we're going to go ahead and go over how to connect these lines together. Now, whenever we work out there in the trade, the tool that we use or the equipment that we use to go ahead and connect these lines together or braze and join these copper lines together is something like this. It's known as your oxy-acetylene setup. These torches right here are very, very common use out there in the trade. Oxy is just short for oxygen. And then you have your fuel source, which is your acetylene. Now, if we go ahead and talk about the regulation pressures of this setup, this right here is what we're going to go ahead and target on our regulators. My oxygen is what I want to go ahead and target anywhere from 20 to 25 psig. And then my acetylene, I'm going to go ahead and target anywhere from 5 to 8 psig. All right. So now what are the good things? What are the things of why we use an oxy-acetylene torch setup in the HVAC trade? Well, the good thing about it is that we're able to produce a hotter flame. What's the good thing about producing a hotter flame? Well, we have stronger joints. What that means is that we're able to produce a better capillary action. So there's something that whenever you're joining the copper lines together, you're swaging the copper. What does that mean? That means that you're opening one side of the copper a little bit wider to allow the other piece to slide in. When you do that, that piece needs to be braced together. Or if you're using couplings, that piece of coupling that's joining the two copper pieces together needs to be braced together. Use some type of filler material, and you got to go ahead and use heat to melt that filler material in order to create a bond. Well, if you get a hotter flame, you're able to fill more filler material because of that capillary action into that gap or that space, which gives you stronger joints. What's the good thing about getting stronger joints? Well, less callbacks. Less callbacks means more money in your pocket, meaning less leak. You do not want to waste refrigerant, because the last thing we got to do, or the last thing we want to do, is damage the environment with the refrigerants that are being leaked out into the environment. And also, not only that, once again, I just mentioned callbacks. We don't want to be losing money having to come back because of a leak that we left in the system, right? So not only that, we have faster heat. What's the good thing about faster heat? Well, better uptime. What does that mean? That means that if we're able to produce faster heat, we're able to move through that job faster. If we're able to move through that job faster, if we have more jobs lined up, that means that I could go ahead and complete more of those jobs in a shorter amount of time, and I get paid more. Right? And isn't that what we want? Yes, we want to go ahead and make more money out there in the field. So that's the good thing about this oxy-acetylene setup compared to an air acetylene setup. The oxygen acetylene setup allows me to have, once again, a hotter flame for stronger joints, faster heat for better uptime. And not only that, we're able to go ahead and minimize the oxidation inside of my copper lines. That's what I want to go ahead and achieve as well, all right? Whenever I go ahead and produce a hotter flame and faster heat, it means that less flame or less heat is being applied on the copper, which minimizes the oxidation on it. Oxidation will produce weaker joints, and that's not what we're looking for. Of course, we still got to run nitrogen through the copper lines, but this right here also plays a benefit role in minimizing that oxidation. The other cool thing about this type of setup is that you have where it cuts metals. Depending on the type of project that you're doing, of course, you need to have a proper tip as well, but you can go ahead and cut metal, all right, with this type of setup as well. Now, we'll go ahead and go outside. I'm going to go ahead and show you all how to set up the torch kit. We'll go ahead and set it up together. We'll go ahead and regulate the pressures together like that. If you have your own torch kit, you're able to go ahead and set up that torch for whenever you go ahead and have your next project or your next work that's coming up. But let's go ahead and go outside. Let's set up the torches. Let's regulate the pressures. All right, let's go ahead and talk more about it. And let's go ahead and continue learning about my oxy-acetylene torches. Let's go ahead and go. So now we're outside. Now we're going to go ahead and set up the oxy-acetylene torch kit. We'll go ahead and move our way from this side to that way just to explain what comes in the torch kit. If you go ahead and move closer, this right here is just your carrying kit or your tote. This is what's going to go ahead and carry your tanks and everything else that we see here. We go ahead and we move here. This is my oxygen tank. And we go ahead and see that it says oxygen right here. This is my fuel tank. This is my acetylene, and it says acetylene right there. And then this right here are my hoses. This is my knobs, my handle, right? These right here are the cool things. These are my regulators. If you see right here, this is my acetylene regulator. And you can see where it says acetylene right there. That right there is in the color red. And we'll go ahead and now grab my oxygen. This is my oxygen regulator, green color, and you can see where it says oxygen right there. Then we'll go ahead and move on to this piece. These right here are your filler rods. These are your bracing rods. These are what you're going to go ahead and use to brace and join the copper pieces together with the capillary action that I had mentioned earlier. This right here is what is known as a striker. This striker is going to help ignite the fuel, and then we'll go ahead and see the fuel and the oxygen mixture, and we'll see a little bit of sparks right there. That's how this works. And then we have a mirror. This right here, it doesn't come with your torch kit, but you could go ahead and grab a mirror. This right here is very, very useful, especially if you're brazing on the bottom and you want to see how your braze came out, then you're able to go ahead and grab that mirror. So make sure you grab that mirror. It's very, very useful for your torch kit. Now that we have that spread out, let's go ahead and set up the torch kit together. Let's go ahead and start off with my oxygen. I'm going to bring my oxygen tank over here. Let me go ahead and grab the regulator. This regulator for my oxygen right here is what I'm going to go ahead and set up. Let me go ahead and move this way. Now go ahead and come a little closer, all right? Let me go ahead and show you how we're going to go ahead and set this up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is grab this nut right here. I'm going to go ahead and bring it to that thread, and I'm going to go ahead and start turning it. And I'm going to go ahead and grab onto this. So I'll go ahead and tighten this all the way as I can, as tight as I can to the very end. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the adjustable wrench to finalize that tightening. And then what I meant by that is that you could see right here where I'm trying to leave my regulators as centered as possible. So I'll go ahead and tighten this up. And that right there should be it. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the oxygen tank. So I'll open up the oxygen tank right there. And then as I open up the oxygen tank, what I'm going to go ahead and use is this water and soap mixture. And I'm going to just go ahead and check if I have any bubbles or anything that's coming out right here, just to indicate if I have a leak or if I place this correctly. So as you can see right there, I have a little bit of a leakage. So what I'm going to do is just tighten a little bit more. All right. So I'll go ahead and tighten that a little bit further down. I'm going to go ahead and double check that once again. And leakage stop, no more bubbling, and that's good right there. All right, so that right there indicated that I have tightened it properly. Now we're going to go ahead and regulate it. I'm going to go ahead and start at 0, so I'm going to go ahead and retract this one all the way back, and this one remains open. So if you go ahead and pay attention to these gauges right here, this gauge is going to indicate how much pressure is left in the tank. This one is going to go ahead and indicate what the regulation pressure that I need it to be coming out of your hoses or your tip, right? So this right here indicating anything at 2000 psig will mean that the tank is full. Anything less than that will indicate that you have less oxygen inside your tank. So now let's go ahead and regulate the pressure coming out of my oxygen. I'm going to go ahead and grab the tip, and then something really cool right here is you could go ahead and see it says O for oxygen, and then it has your F for fuel. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it this way. This one right here, my right one is for my oxygen. I'm going to go ahead and open it, right? And I'll leave it open, just cracked open. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and target, remember 20 to 25 psig is what I want to target. That 20 is what I want to go ahead and target right there, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn this knob. Let me go ahead and grab the knob so you can go ahead and see it with my other hand. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is turn this until that needle reaches 20 psig, and I'll go ahead and close it up. Now I know it went up a little bit, but that's the pressure that is inside of my hose. But once I open it back up, look how it drops to 20. And that's what I want it to be at. I want it to be at 20 psig. So that right there, I have officially and properly adjusted and regulated the pressure coming out of my hose for my oxygen tank. Now let me go ahead and do the same thing for my acetylene. I'll go ahead and I'll bring my acetylene to this side over here, and I'll go ahead and once again tighten this up right here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my adjustable wrench, and let me flip that, and I'll go ahead and give it a good tighten. All right, now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to grab this tool right here. I don't have a knob, so that means that I need a proper tool, which is the wrench right here, and I'm going to go ahead and put this right there. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this to the left. So 1, 2, 3 turns should be enough right there. All right, if we go ahead and see now the gauges that we have here for my acetylene, I'll go ahead and retract the regulator all the way back to start from 0. This gauge, once again, is going to indicate how much pressure is left in the tank or how much you have inside of this tank right here. And then this one will go ahead and indicate how much pressure is coming out of my hoses. So if I go ahead and pay attention to this gauge right here, once again, I have my bar and my PSIG anywhere from 150 PSIG and below will indicate how much I have. 150 PSIG will indicate that I have a full tank. Anything less than that would mean that I have less acetylene in the tank. This one right here, bar and PSIG, remember the pressure that I want to target was 5 to 8 PSIG. If you see right here, you have that 6 right there. All right, I know it shows and indicates some pressure. We'll go ahead and we'll grab this knob right here. Remember, this one was for my oxygen. This one is now for my fuel. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put this way. I'll tilt it a bit. I'll hold on to it right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and I'm going to go ahead and start turning this clockwise, and you'll see that needle move up. And what I'm going to try to target once again is that 6 that I have right there. So I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to 6. Once I reach that 6, I'm going to go ahead and close that knob. And I know once again it went up, but once again if I open it, it should drop down to 6 PSIG, and then I close it. That should be fine right there. That means that I have properly regulated both my acetylene and my oxygen for my oxy-acetylene torch kit, all right? And if you have your own torch kits, you could go ahead and do the same thing. You could go ahead and regulate those same pressures with your own torches like that. Whenever you're brazing out there in the field, you go ahead and braze properly. Now, see how I have this tool back here? I recommend that you leave this tool back here. You never know what could happen where you could go ahead and have some type of accident happen, and you need to go ahead and turn off your fuel, and you don't have this set up here, or you want to go ahead and leave this up like that. You could go ahead and come and close this as quickly as possible, right? So this right here is just the basic setup of your oxy-acetylene torch kit. I hope you like this video. If you have any comments, make sure to leave some comments down below in this video. Make sure to like, make sure to share also, and subscribe for future videos so you could go ahead and continue on your HVAC journey. That being said, I'll see you on the next one.